Grateful Goddess, and I am super excited today to introduce you to Tyson Adams. He is the founder of Jai Coffee House, a nonprofit organization, as well as Zuddha Organics, which is all about a higher quality coconut oil. So I'm super excited to talk to him about that. But first, I just want to acknowledge him for being a super strong, masculine energy, that he's okay and willing to acknowledge his divine feminine side. So it takes a very strong man who's willing to be the goddess of the month.
Yes,
so thank you, Tyson, for joining us. Yes.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I would love for you to start off, because I just met Tyson last week, and his story is just so inspiring. I wanted to just get him in right away and introduce him to you. So start off and give us a little bit of a picture of how you came to be the founder of Jai Coffee House and what it's all about.
Yeah, so I'll take you through that very quickly. I decided to buy a one-way plane ticket to Southeast Asia 7 years ago. So I just took off, and my parents were a little upset about me skipping Christmas, but I just felt the calling. And while I was there, I did Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And I had this remarkable experience where I actually woke up from a dream, and I had this vision of importing Lao coffee to America and then taking the profits and putting it back into the community in the form of books and education supplies. And so skipping forward to today, I've basically been living in Laos for the last 2 years, where we have kind of transitioned into clean water wells and hygiene programs. And so far, we've put in 9 wells, and we've provided about 4,000 children with clean water and hygiene. And I'm really excited because we're going back in October to finish our first school. So that's what I do.
That is so awesome. That is super awesome. And then that somehow led you into finding and discovering this incredible coconut oil. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so from Seattle to getting back and forth to Laos, I actually land in Bangkok first. And being in and around the Thai culture and the coconut culture, I really started to just pay attention to the different types of dishes that they were making, whether it was with coconut milk or coconut oil, and really began to like it. And so I decided to write a quick kind of ebook on the health benefits of coconut oil, and I put that in Amazon, and it did really well. But I also decided that I wanted to see if it was, viable to bring some coconut oil from Thailand over and do my own private label. And so I went into a grocery store and just picked up some of the different brands and started doing some research and contacted a number of the manufacturers there, and found one in particular that is incredibly high quality. So that was 2.5 years ago, and now finally in about a few days we're going to be launching after 2.5 years of work, and I'm really excited about it.
Yes, that is. And I have a little sneak preview. Here is the Zuddha Organics, and I would love for you to tell us a little bit about what the health benefits of a really high quality coconut oil are.
Yeah, so to jump into the benefits, I first have to step back just a little bit and then talk about a little bit of what's wrong in the industry or where we're being misled. And it's mainly with the unregulated marketing terms cold pressed and virgin. And cold pressed is a term that came over from the olive oil or the olive industry, where when you press an olive, you can have olive oil. However, an olive is a seed and a coconut is a fruit. And so when you press a coconut with just no heat, just with machines or with your hands, you don't get oil, you get coconut milk. And so in order to extract the oil from the milk, you actually do need to apply some amount of heat. So the problem with the industry is that we are being led to believe that there's no heat used in extracting the coconut oil out of the coconuts, but really most manufacturers are they're basically processing coconut oil at about 175 to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, which is actually burning the oil. And the way in which you can
get the nutritional value that it originally has.
There's still some tests being ran about that, but we know from juice that when you pasteurize juice, of course, it definitely changes it. The most important thing that we've realized is that as far as we're still doing some tests on the nutritional value and how it's affected by high heats. But what we do know for sure is that when you do use high heat, it definitely affects the smell and the flavor of your coconut oil. So a lot of people really enjoy the smell, but they don't realize that it's actually burnt coconut oil that they're smelling. And the best way to differentiate or to compare Zuddha to other brands would be kind of the comparison between drinking a fresh coconut, while you have a straw in it, versus if you're drinking coconut water out of a can. You can certainly taste the difference and smell the difference. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that's a little bit about it. And the other thing that's really important.
I noticed on your, okay, so this is the coconut oil you sent me, and you can see just how clear it is. I mean, mm-hmm. Super, super clear. And this is the coconut oil I had in my cupboard, and you can see that it's a little bit of a milky color. And do you think that gives us a tip-off as to whether it's cold pressed or not? If this says that it's pure and unrefined, but it does not specify that it's cold pressed.
Correct. So when it says unrefined, what that term is referring to is virgin, which virgin just means coconuts that are not bleached, deodorized, or have any chemicals in them. However, there is a little bit of, the factories don't really allow you to come in and observe. That's a big problem. There's no transparency into the industry. However, our coconut supplier has been to a number of these factories, and what he's seen is that often coconuts are soaked in chlorinated water, sometimes up to 12 hours before they are processed. So that's another reason why they're using high heats. It's often because of ensuring that they're going to get some of those issues taken care of. So when you're seeing that milky color, that could be because the oil was heated really hot, or it could be because the filtering process wasn't very good, or the manufacturing machines that they're using just were not so good. So there's a number of ways that you can visually see the difference. But with Zuddha, it is similar to water. It's very, very basically clear.
Mm-hmm. But whatever the case might be that causes it to be milky, if it's milky or in color, it's generally not as high of a quality, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and so what ends up happening is that the best way to compare it is like fresh fruit. So if you're going to pick an apple off of a tree and eat it, the nutritional value of that apple is going to be higher than if it had traveled long distances or had been sprayed with pesticides or chemicals and things. And so even though you're seeing cold pressed and virgin on and organic on coconut oil, there is really no regulations in place yet. And that's why it's difficult to make those assertions, but we can say that because of what we've observed, yes, the quality is definitely a lower quality.
Got it. So do share with us the benefits of coconut oil that is high quality.
Yeah, so first and foremost, when you're dealing with coconut oil that's been processed with high heats or that has had chemicals or chlorines in it, some people have an unfavorable application to their skin. So if they put it on their face may not respond well. It potentially could even have a acne breakout. Whereas with ours, I have been only putting Zuddha on my skin for 2.5 years, and I've had really great complexion. In fact, I've literally never used face wash or soap or anything but coconut oil for this entire 2.5 years since I received my first jar. So it's really different for a skin application. It also leaves your skin smelling fresh, not like a smelly coconut, like the oil that you normally would have. Yeah. So that's one thing. The second thing is that when you're ingesting coconut oil, it bypasses your digestion and it actually gets processed in your liver and is immediately transferred and created into energy. So I wouldn't say that it's a detoxifier, but what I would say is that when you eat coconut oil, it does make you feel a little bit of sickness because it is allowing some of the things that are in your liver into your system. And so it takes a little bit of time to get used to eating coconut oil regularly. But in my diet, I basically wake up every morning and I either put a spoonful in my coffee or I just take a spoonful and eat it straight. And it's immediately transferred into energy. And also it gives me a bit of a cognitive boost as well.
Mm-hmm. And you also have a very interesting way about going about funding the business and marketing it. Can you tell us more about your social media approach?
Yeah, so it's very expensive to start a business nowadays, and a minimum order of coconut oil would be basically having to buy, a half container of it in order to have shipping costs be low enough. And so, to go and essentially invest $50,000 to $100,000 to bring over a large amount of coconut oil and then launch it, and if it doesn't do well, or maybe the packaging's not correct, or maybe the brand, doesn't have enough stickiness, then we don't want to take that large investment. So instead, what we've decided to do is to crowdfund it through Indiegogo, which, for those of you who are not familiar with that platform, it's very similar to Kickstarter. So it's basically crowdfunding where we've created about a 3-minute video. We've have rewards where you can basically pre-purchase the coconut oil, and then once we fund our goal, then we use that money to then basically take our risk a little bit lower, and then when we bring it over, we can send that coconut oil out to our customers, and then they can continue buying in the future.
So you can provide me a link of where people can go and actually purchase the coconut oil in advance, and then once it's created, they will receive the coconut oil, or is the contribution just to help you launch?
Nope, they're actually buying the coconut oil themselves, or for themselves, so it'll actually come in the mail. So we're not asking for any donations or anything of that nature. Essentially, it's just like a purchase. And what ends up happening is that once the campaign ends, then we place our order with our manufacturer, and then our manufacturer puts that on a boat and sends it back to America. So that takes, a month and a half, 2 months. We're not really sure exactly the timeline yet, but essentially you're helping us fund it, and then you'll get this amazing product at a later date. And then from there, you can continue buying, because then the business will be up and running.
I love that. I love how it's putting the power in everybody's hands to, do something really great in the world, and also benefit themselves with a high quality product.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one of the cool things that we're doing is we are partnering with the Ayurvedic Institute in Albuquerque, and they are basically the community that brought naturopathic medicine from India in the late 70s to America. And so they're very into oil pulling and the yoga and a lot of the sort of naturopathic medicine, and they use it a lot for massage. So we do also have a give back component to Zuddha. We're going to be doing 1% back to the Ayurvedic Institute, which is a nonprofit, and then they do a lot of research into taking coconut oil and finding cures for all different types of things, from for example, putting coconut oil in a petri dish with HIV. It actually kills it, which is really fascinating. They're doing work with massage oils for holistic health, and oil pulling, which helps moderate and regulate your gut and that kind of thing. So it's all going to go back and help to create more cures for ailments that people are facing.
I love that. And I love what you said earlier in terms of, just following this inspiration that you had from a dream. But it actually started a little bit before that, because you followed your intuition to go to Thailand to begin with, which in Laos and the rest of your trip. So can you speak to that a little bit, the importance of really just listening to your own intuitive knowing?
Yeah, this is actually an interesting topic that I haven't shared with you, but I was in a relationship for a year, and my girlfriend actually broke my heart. And so I was grieving at the time, but I decided to step into a pretty regular meditation practice. And in that meditation was able to unattach and kind of do a lot of self-healing and release that relationship. And her and I had all these plans to travel together, but because the plans were interrupted between our breakup and that sort of chaos, I got myself into a good place, and a year later made that decision to take that trip on my own. And that's kind of how this all started to move forward. So out of pain came this amazing experience, and the rest of my life was transformed. Yeah.
That is so beautiful and so true. I mean, because I think that sometimes when people are in the midst of their pain, they can't really see through that to how it's going to be different later. But if you can hold that intention, if you can see something better for yourself, and I think the best thing that one can do for themselves is to take up yoga, meditation, or some kind of practice that's going to help them go within.
Yes, absolutely. I can vouch for that on a number of levels. So, yeah.
Right. So you are a very inspiring entrepreneur. I think this has been really helpful to be an inspiration to others to go ahead and follow their dreams. Is there any other last tips that you'd like to offer people to go do something really great in the world?
I have a quote that I love, and it's been a quote with me for 7 years. It's a Judo Krishnamurti quote, and I really love this quote, and it changes every time I revisit it. And the quote is, one is never afraid of the unknown. One is afraid of the known coming to an end.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
for me, it's, I often tell people that are thinking about starting a business or taking a leap in their career, or maybe they decide that they want to travel. And I think a lot of people are afraid, they think they're afraid of this unknown experience or this unknown thing that they're about to embark upon. But what I help them to see is that really the thing we're most fearful about in life is letting go of our own patterns of behavior or comforts, or oh, I'm a season ticket holder at this game or this for this team or whatever every season. And I realized that when I let go of my life that I had built in Seattle, it transformed in a completely different way. And it's been a remarkable quote to return to. And I think that I would encourage people to consider that, because it really does manifest if you let go of the known. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much, Tyson. It has been a pure joy. Thank you for inspiring my audience, and best of luck. I will include all kinds of information in the written form for people to pursue this further.
Yeah. Thank you, Sheila, so much.
Thank you.